In today's emotionally charged world where misinformation and manipulation have become tools for social survival, we all encounter liars, people who twist facts, bend the truth, or outright deceive to gain power, attention, or cover up their flaws. But the real damage doesn't come from their lies, it comes from how we react. That feeling of rage when you know someone is lying to your face. The burning desire to shout, accuse, prove them wrong. But what if you could feel absolutely nothing in that moment? What if, instead of letting your emotions spiral, you could respond with such calm that the liar feels unsettled while you remain completely centered? That's exactly what the ancient Stoics mastered. This video isn't just another self-help rant. It's a battle plan built from the wisdom of Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, and Seneca, designed to help you dominate any conversation with a liar without raising your voice or breaking a sweat. We're diving deep into 5 powerful Stoic strategies that, when practiced, will not only give you the upper hand in tricky conversations, but also turn you into someone no one dares to deceive again. If you want power without aggression, peace without retreat, and dominance without drama, this video will become your go-to blueprint. Before we dive into the 5 strategies, let's understand why liars disturb us so deeply. A lie is not just an untruth, it's an attack on your perception of reality. It makes you question your judgment, your trust in others, and sometimes even your own worth. When you catch someone lying, your fight or flight response kicks in. Your brain screams, "This is wrong. You must fix this." And that's exactly where most people lose their power, by reacting emotionally. The Stoics, however, had a completely different approach. They trained themselves to separate facts from feelings, to see lies as events, not personal betrayals. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You don't have to turn this into something. It doesn't have to upset you." That single mindset shift changes everything. When you realize you're not obligated to react, you become untouchable. This isn't about letting people get away with dishonesty. It's about handling dishonesty in a way that strengthens you instead of weakening you. With that foundation laid, let's get into the heart of the matter. 5 Stoic strategies that make you a master at handling liars. Strategy 1. Control what you can. The Epictetus rule. Picture this. You're sitting in a performance review at work. You've spent months grinding late nights, double-checking every detail, going above and beyond. Then your manager says something that stings like a slap, crediting someone else for your hard-earned success. You blink. Your jaw tightens. Your blood starts to simmer. And in that moment, your instincts shout, "Defend yourself. Fix this. Fight back." But what if I told you that reacting, even with all the facts on your side, would only hand them your power? This is where the Epictetus rule comes into play. Epictetus, a former slave turned Stoic philosopher, taught a principle so deceptively simple that most people overlook its depth. Some things are up to us, and some are not. This is not just ancient wisdom, it's a razor-sharp tool for psychological freedom. In that meeting room, you can't control your manager's perceptions, your co-workers' lies, or even the opinions forming around the table. But what you can control is your breath, your tone, your posture, your response, your state. And that's where your real power lives. See, most people confuse control with force. They think strength comes from raising their voice, dominating the room, setting the record straight. But the Stoics flipped this idea. To them, strength wasn't reactive, it was internal, disciplined, almost invisible. It's the kind of strength where everyone else panics and you stay calm, where others rage and you observe, where others reach outward and you go inward. Let's go deeper. When Epictetus said, "Some things are up to us," he wasn't encouraging passivity. He wasn't saying let injustice slide or turn the other cheek out of weakness. He was issuing a challenge. Can you stay anchored when the storm comes? Can you choose stillness when your ego is begging to lash out? That's the battlefield Stoicism lives on, not out there in the world, but inside your own mind. Now let's flip the script again. You're in a relationship, and your partner says something subtly untrue, maybe about where they were, who they were with, or what they said. You catch it. You feel that punch of betrayal. Most people, they'd explode, confront, accuse, get pulled into a long emotional war, filled with yelling, crying, blaming. But a Stoic slows down time. They ask, what's mine to manage right now? Is it the other person's truthfulness? No, that's theirs to own. What's yours? Your dignity, your clarity, your next move. So you pause, you breathe deeply, you remind yourself, I control how I respond. That's all I ever truly own. And in that clarity, you act deliberately. Maybe you ask a calm question. Maybe you take a step back. Maybe you say nothing, because you realize their lie says more about them than about you. That is not weakness. That is restraint, in a world addicted to instant reaction, is the ultimate power move. Here's where this really hits home for the US audience. We live in a culture that idolizes dominance, reality TV meltdowns, viral clapbacks, savage tweets. The loudest voice wins. Right? Wrong. In reality, in boardrooms, relationships, courtrooms, negotiations, the person who keeps their cool owns the room. They control the flow. Why? Because emotions are contagious. When you stay calm, others lean into your energy. You guide the moment instead of reacting to it. That's what Stoics knew before neuroscience ever proved it. And here's something even deeper. When you master what you can control, your mind, emotions, tone, you begin to build a kind of quiet confidence that no one can take. A liar might steal your credit. A manipulator might twist a story. A boss might misjudge you. But none of them can touch your peace unless you give it to them. That's the game. That's the Epictetus rule in action. It's not about never being lied to. It's about never letting the lie own you. Now imagine living this way for real. You walk into any situation, chaotic family dinner, messy breakup, heated argument at work, and instead of feeling like you're drowning in emotion, you're floating above it. You observe the madness, but it doesn't touch you. People sense something different. They don't mess with you as easily. They may even start to trust you more. Not because you force the truth, but because you live it. Calmly, consistently. That's what Stoicism trains you to become, an emotional fortress in a world of glass houses. So the next time you feel the urge to snap, rage, or obsess over proving a liar wrong, stop and ask, is this something I can control? If the answer is no, let it go. If the answer is yes, your breath, your tone, your next step, own it like a warrior. That's how you win. Not with louder words, but with unshakable presence. Not by dominating others, but by dominating yourself. And that, my friend, is the first key to becoming untouchable in a world full of chaos and lies. Strategy 2. Observe, don't react. The Stoic scientist mind, in a world that constantly pressures us to respond immediately, emotionally, and loudly, the idea of observation without reaction feels almost unnatural. But to a Stoic, this is where true strength begins. When someone lies to you, they're not just distorting facts, they're testing your emotional stability. They want to respond. They want your anger, your confusion, your need to correct them. Why? Because your reaction gives them control. That's where the Stoic flips the script. The Stoic doesn't react. The Stoic observes. Imagine yourself as a scientist in a lab. A subject, let's say a liar, is exhibiting behavior. Your job is not to get angry at the subject. Your job is to collect data. What did they say? How did they say it? Does this contradict earlier statements? This observational mindset does two powerful things. First, it protects you from being emotionally hijacked. Second, it gives you the clarity to see the situation for what it really is, not what your emotions want it to be. The Stoics believed that emotions often cloud judgment more than lies do. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality," meaning it's not just the lie that hurts. It's the stories we tell ourselves about the lie. They must think I'm stupid. Everyone will believe them. If I don't respond now, I'll lose. But these thoughts are assumptions, not facts. The Stoic knows this. That's why they wait, they listen, they study, and in doing so they regain the upper hand. Here's what this looks like in action. You catch someone lying. Maybe it's subtle, a twist of the truth, an omission. Your emotions want to explode. But instead, you slow down. You watch. You listen to the inconsistencies. You make a mental note. You start forming a timeline. You act like a detective, not a victim. And over time, their lie becomes more exposed, not through confrontation, but through careful, quiet observation. When you don't react, the liar loses confidence. They begin to wonder what you know, what you're thinking, whether they've slipped up. That internal uncertainty is powerful. Your silence becomes suspense. Your observation becomes pressure. And you didn't raise your voice once. To the outside world, you look calm, rational, composed. That's real social power, because while others are yelling, defending, accusing, you're thinking, you're gathering, you're preparing. And when it's time to respond, if you even choose, your words carry the weight of someone who saw everything and reacted to nothing. That's not coldness, it's control, and it's what separates Stoic leaders from emotional followers. Strategy 3. Use silence as a weapon. Powerful non-reaction. Silence is not weakness, it's a weapon, especially against liars. When you remain silent in the face of deceit, it makes the liar nervous. They don't know what you're thinking. They can't predict your next move, and that uncertainty is far more punishing than any accusation. In Stoicism, silence is a sign of mastery. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the power of stillness, not just physical, but mental. When you don't rush to defend yourself or call someone out, you send a powerful message. I'm not affected. This throws the liar off balance. Imagine this in a relationship. Your partner says something untrue. Instead of arguing, you pause, look at them, say nothing. That pause makes them question themselves. That calmness is a mirror, reflecting their behavior without judgment or chaos. This is what makes Stoics dangerous, not because they attack, but because they don't need to. Their silence is their response, and that response echoes louder than any outburst ever could. Strategy 4. Respond with questions, not accusations. Calm exposure. Now comes the truly tactical part. How to engage verbally without losing your advantage. Stoics didn't believe in confrontation for the sake of ego. Instead, they believed in clarity. When you know someone is lying, don't accuse. Instead, ask calm, pointed questions. That's interesting. Can you explain what you meant by that? Or, I'm not sure I understand. Could you clarify? These questions disarm the liar. They force them to either elaborate or contradict themselves. You are, in essence, giving them the rope to hang their own lie, and you're doing it without a raised voice, without emotional escalation. Seneca wrote, "Anger is a temporary madness. When you question instead of accuse, you stay in control. You become the calm investigator, not the angry victim." This approach also protects you. If the situation escalates publicly, whether in the workplace, a family, or online, You'll always be seen as the composed, rational one. That social power is priceless. This method is not just philosophical, it's practical and proven. Strategy 5. Detach from the outcome. Let go and win. Finally, the deepest Stoic principle, detachment from the outcome. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the ultimate flex. When you stop needing to win the argument or expose the liar, you remove their power. Liars manipulate because they know most people are emotionally attached to being right. But a Stoic? A Stoic doesn't care who believes the lie, they care about who they become in the process. Detachment means you act wisely, then release the results. You ask the calm question, you hold your silence, you keep your evidence, and then you let, whether they admit the lie or not is irrelevant. Your peace is not tied to their confession. That's what makes you untouchable. People sense it. And ironically, the less you try to prove the truth, the more powerful and truthful you appear. It's a paradox, but it's real. And it's the final step in mastering conversations with liars. The final transformation. Let's bring all of this together with a real-life example. Imagine a team meeting where someone throws you under the bus, blaming you for a mistake you didn't make. Everyone's watching. Your heart races. But instead of defending yourself immediately, you pause. You control what you can, your posture, your tone. You observe their nervous delivery. You say nothing, just look at them, silent. Then you respond with a calm, precise question. Can you show when that happened? There's no anger in your voice, no panic. The room goes silent. The liar squirms. After the meeting, you document your facts and share them with your supervisor. And then you let it go. You walk out with your head high, not because you destroyed them, but because you owned yourself. That is the Stoic way. You've become someone who can't be manipulated, someone who doesn't break under pressure, someone whose power is rooted in silence and control. And the best part, anyone can become this version of themselves with practice. So if you found power in these strategies, subscribe to the channel. We're building a tribe of thinkers, warriors, and calm dominators, people who don't just survive chaos, but lead through it. This isn't just philosophy, this is armor. This is war paint. This is how you win without fighting. So stay calm, stay sharp, stay stoic, and I'll see you in the next